Welcome to the YouTube channel of IntelliBet. In today's session, we will be learning about Pandas, which is a Python library mainly used for data manipulation and analysis. Prior to Pandas, Python was majorly used for data mining and preparation, so it had a very little contribution towards data analysis. So Pandas solved this problem. Pandas is fast, powerful, and flexible. Using Pandas, we can accomplish 5 typical steps in the pre-processing as well as analysis. The 5 steps are here: load, prepare, manipulate, model, and analyze. Along with that, Python with Pandas is used in a wide range of fields, such as it is used in finance, economics, statistics, analytics. Alright guys, so now let's move to the agenda. So first, we will discussing about what is Pandas. So as I already told you that Pandas is a Python library that is mainly used for the data analysis as well as data manipulation. Second, we will see the basic operations in Pandas such as filtering the data, and then we will see the finding the missing values in a data set. Next, we will see data analysis on a data set. So we will be having here a data set, and from that data set, we will be using Pandas to find the key insights. Next, we will see the practical implementation, right? So now let's start with what is Pandas. So Pandas is a Python library which is used for data analysis. Now the question arises in our mind is, why do we use Pandas? So Pandas enables us to examine large amounts of data and draw conclusion based on the statistical theory. So let's suppose if we are having a huge data set, and from that particular data set, if we want to know the hidden patterns or the key insights, or if we want to manipulate the data, then we will be using here Pandas, which will give us the conclusion, right? Moving to the next point, we are having it is used to clean the messy data sets and make them more understandable and meaningful. So in a real life world, you will be getting a huge data set, and that data set will be quite complex. So from that data set, you have to find the meaningful conclusion, right? And that data should be easily understandable. So you have to use Pandas to clean the data, to filter the data so that the learner can easily understand, right? Moving to the next point, we are having it is widely used for machine learning tasks. So Pandas is widely used for the data science, data analysis, as well as the machine learning task. So moving next, we will see the basic operations in Pandas. So the first operation that we are having is selection of rows and columns. So in a data set, you are having a lot of records as well as attributes. So when I'm talking about records, that means it's rows, and attribute is denoted as columns, right? So if you want to handle rows and columns, you can use Pandas. Next, we will see how to handle missing values. So when you are having a huge data set, there will be a lot of missing values that are present in the data set. So you have to deal with that missing values. Moving ahead, we will see how to filter the data. Let's suppose if you are having a huge data and if you want to know the key insight based on the particular condition, then you can go for the filtering of an data. So moving ahead, we will see data analysis on a data set. So what we'll be doing here we are taking a data set, and on that data set, we'll create a data frame, and then we're gonna analyze the data. So the data set that we will be using is nothing but a bank data set. So this dataset is related with direct marketing campaigns of a Portuguese banking institution. It contains around 11,000 rows with 17 columns. So these are the rows and these are the 17 columns starting from age, job, marital status, right? Education, what type of education has the individual have, default, balance, and so on. So let's move further. So after getting the idea about the dataset, now let's move to the hands-on. Alright guys, so I will be going into the Google Chrome, and the web ID that I will be using for this data set, that is Google Colab. So I'll just write here Google Colab, and then here I will just write here new notebook. It will take some time to open. Okay. So let me rename this. So here I will write here pandas. Alright. So now in order to create a data frame, I have to import the library that is pandas. So how to import this library? I will simply write here import pandas as pd. Alright. So now how to create a data frame? So let's suppose if you are having a dictionary and if you want to create a data frame, so let me show you how dictionary look like. So we know that dictionary will have key as well as the value pair, right? So let me create a dictionary having the name of cars. So I'll just write here cars, and dictionary will have key and value pair. So first let me write here company. So I'll just write here company. So this will be my key, and let me give here multiple values. So I'll just write here company, and the company name will be, let's suppose, Audi. I'll write here, let me write some few more names. I'll write here BMW and Mercedes. Let's take some few more names, Tata and Mahindra. Let me create another key and value pair. So I will just write here this time price, and in price I will give, let's suppose the price of an Audi is around 72 lakhs. All right, BMW I will take 80 lakhs, Mercedes I will take 90 lakhs, and for Tata I will take around 32 lakhs. Mahindra also, let's take the values. Right. So here you can see that we are having dictionary. Now what I will do here, let me create this dictionary into a data frame. So first let me execute this. All right. Now, if I want to convert this dictionary into a data frame, what I have to write here, I'll just write here simply pd dot data frame. Make sure your F is capital here, right? So inside this data frame, I will write cars. Now if I'm executing it, you can see that I have already created a data frame in which I am having two columns. The first one is company and the another one is the price one. Alright guys, so this is the basic idea how you can create a data frame using dictionary. Now, I have already talked to you about the data set. Now what I will do, I will import here the data set. So I'll just go here, downloads, and here I will take bank. Let me load the data set. Alright guys, you can see that bank data set already has been uploaded, right? Now how to fetch this data, how to create the data frame from this data set. So what I will do here, I'll just simply write here df and I will write here pd.read underscore csv. And what's the name of this data set? Bank, right? So I'll just write here bank.csv. Let me execute this and it has been executed. Now if I want to see my data frame, right? So what I will do here, I'll just simply write here df.head. So when I'm executing this, you can see that I am getting first 5 records of this data frame, right? So by default, if you are not putting any value here, you will get the first 5 records. Now, if you are writing here df.tail, so on writing df.tail, you will get bottom 5 records, okay? Let's suppose if you want to see the 15 records, top 15 records, then I can put the value here 15. And here you can see that I'm getting the top 15 records, right? Now let's move further. So now let's say if you want to know how many number of rows and columns are present in the data set. So for that, I will just simply write here df.shape. So when I'm executing this command, df.shape, you can see that here we are having 11,162 rows with 17 columns. Okay guys, moving next. If I want to know the data types of each column, so which function I'm having here, I'll just simply write here df.dtypes, and on execution you can see that age is of integer type, job, marital, education, default, these are string values, right? Here you can see that. And then again balance is our integer value. So in this way you can get the key insights, right? Let's move ahead. Alright guys, so this is our data frame. Now if I want to convert our data frame into NumPy array, so how can we do it? Cause for the machine learning, you need to do it, right? Sometimes there will be situation in which you have to convert your data frame into the NumPy array. So for that, what we can do here, I'll just simply write here df.to underscore and I will just write here NumPy. And on execution, you can see that this is our NumPy array. Alright guys, so here if you see these columns are not sorted, right? If I want to sort this column, so how can I sort it using pandas? Let me show you. So I'll just write here df.sort underscore index, and inside this I will write here x is equal to 1. So when I'm writing here x is equal to 1, that means I am telling that go in the vertical, right? So in the vertical we are having the columns, right? So in this way our columns will be arranged. So here you can see that in this way our columns has been arranged in the alphabetical order, right? A, B, C and so on, so on. So moving next, let me write here df.info. So when I'm writing here df.info, you can see that. So this df.info function will give you the column, how many non-null values that are present in your data set, what is the data type of each column. All right. Next, we are having df.describe function. If I'm writing here df.describe function, so this function returns the description of the data in the data frame. So let's suppose if you are having a numerical data, so it will give you the statistical summary about it. So here you can see that age, balance, day, duration, campaign, p days and previous. These are our numerical columns, right? So here we are getting count, mean, standard deviation, minimum, percentile and the maximum value. So now after knowing about the basic functions that are used in pandas, let me slice the rows. So if you want to slice any rows in this data frame, how you can do it? I'll just simply write here df, and let's suppose I want to see the records between 70 to 100. So I'll just write here 70 and 100, right? So just write there 70 colon 100 and you can see that I am getting the records. Alright guys, next move ahead. So now let's suppose if you want to create a new column. So how can you create a new column in a pandas? So what can I do here? Let me first write here df.head. So let me just write here df.head so that I can see my data frame. So this is my data frame which is showing the first 5 records. Now if I want to create a new column, so what I will do here, let's suppose I will write here df and let's the new column name will be, I will just write here new underscore column. Now in this column what I will do here, I will just add here, let's suppose I am adding here campaign plus previous days. So let me just add here. So I'll just write here df and I will write here campaign, and along with that I will also write here previous days. Now if I'm writing here df.head, so you can see that here I've created the new column here, right? So new column is adding campaign and previous days. So 1 minus 1 will be 0, 0, 0 and so on. So in this way we have already created a new column. So now we have already seen how to create a new column. What if we want to drop any column or rename any column? So let me just start with the renaming the column. I'll just write here renaming the column. So for renaming the column, I can write here df dot rename. I can use this function, and inside that I will just write here columns. So which columns you want to rename? So let's suppose if I want to rename here p days, and instead of p days I just want to write here previous days. So what can I do here? I'll just create a dictionary and I'll just write here p days, and I will change it with previous days. Let me change one more column. So here you can see that we are having p outcome, right? I'll just write here post outcome. So let me write here p outcome, and I'll just write here post outcome. All right guys, let me execute this, and you can see that it has been executed, right? Here instead of p days we are having previous days, and instead of p outcome we are having here post outcome. Now if once again if I'm executing here df.head, you can see that it's not reflecting here, right? We have already changed here previous days and post outcome, but here when we are seeing it, here it's written that p days and p outcome. Why? Because we didn't use here in place. So when I'm writing here in place is equal to true, and then if I'm executing here, and now if I'm executing it, you can see that it has been updated here, right? It has been reflecting here. So if you want to update whatever the changes you have done here, used in place function, right? So whenever you are writing in place is equal to true, automatically whatever the changes you have done here, it will reflect in your data frame. All right guys, so now after understanding how to rename the column, now let's see how to drop any column. So let me just write here dropping a column. Now if you want to drop a column, simply the same approach will be there. You have to just write here df.drop, and inside this once again you have to write columns, which all columns you want to drop. So here I will just want to drop, let's take previous columns only. Previous days I will take here, and then after that let me take this column post outcome. Now if I want to drop it, I'll just execute it, and now here you can see that it has been dropped here, right? Now if I'm seeing here df.head, you can see that it's still not reflecting because we have to once again write here in place is equal to true. Or if you don't want to write in place is equal to true, you can just write here df. So it will get to know that inside this df, that means your data frame, you want to drop these columns here, right? You are having two ways. So now if I'm executing, now you can see that previous days and post outcome will be removed. Okay, so now if we want to see how many missing values that are present in the data set, so how we can check it? So let me just write here df dot is null dot sum. So when I'm executing it, here you can see that there are no missing values present in the data set. All right, okay, so what we can do next here, so let's suppose this is my marital column, right? If I want to know in my marital column what is the count of the categories that are present here, so I'll just write here dot value underscore counts. So here you can see that they are married 6351 people, single is 3518, and divorce is 1293. All right, now if I want to count out, right, how many unique categories are present in any column, so I'll just write here dot n unique. So you can see that it will give 3, right? All right, so now if I want to do some data manipulation in this data set or in this data frame, so how to do it? Let me just once again see this data frame. So let's suppose if there is any person who want to see that a person whose age is greater than 40 and whose marital status is not married, that means he is single, and his education is secondary, right? And let's suppose his duration is greater than 1000, then how we can see all the data? So for that I will be using a lock here. So here the lock property is used to access a group of rows and columns by labels. So let me show you the lock property here. I'll just write here df.lock. All right, so here what I will write here, let's suppose I want to put here age greater than 40. So I'll just simply write here df age is greater than 40, and then after this let me put a condition. So I'll be using here AND operator because I want the people's age must be greater than 40 and its marital status must be married. So I'll just write here AND df, I'll just write here marital, let me write here married. Let's take some more condition. Let me take here I will just write here housing is equal to no. So I'll just write here df housing is equal to no, right? Let me execute this. So here you can see that it's saying no as error because I have to put here into the quotes. Execution, you can see that there are 2164 records in which the age of a person is greater than 40, marital status is married, and housing he doesn't have, right? No. Right? So in this way, if you want to fetch any data or if you want to manipulate any data, you can do it. So now, after saying AND operator, let me perform this within the OR operator. So let's suppose if the age of a person is greater than 40 or the day is less than 20. So how many records are available? So what can I do here? I'll just write here df, and inside this I'll just write df, and let me just write here the age, and age should be less than 40, right? So I'll just write here less than 40, and I will use here OR operator. So let me write here OR operator, and once again I will write here df, and let me take some other columns also. I'll just write here OR day is less than 20, so I'll just write here day less than 20, and if I'm executing it, okay, so on execution you can see that we are getting error. Let me just put it into a parenthesis. So I'll just write here, I'll just create here two parentheses. All right guys, let me execute this, and on execution you can see that there are 376 rows in which age is either less than 40 or the day is less than 20, right? So here you can see that although the day is 20 but age is less than 33, right? So in this way you can use AND operator or as well as OR operator. So basically here what we are doing, we are basically seeing the records based on any condition. So let's suppose if you are having a huge data set in which if you want to fetch any record based on any particular condition, so using pandas, you can see that record very easily. So moving next, let's suppose if we are having any categories in any column and if we want to replace the value of it. So let me give you an idea. Let me write here df education. So education was in our column, right? So let me just first write here dot value underscore counts. So here we can see that total here we are having 4 types of categories, right? So what can I do here? First, let's suppose that if I want to create secondary, tertiary, primary into integer, or let's suppose I will just write here secondary as 0, I will replace tertiary as 1, I will replace primary as 2. So how can I do it? So here you can see that we are having one more category, that is unknown, and we already know that unknown means this is basically a vacant, we don't know, right? So I want to replace it with mode. So what happens in mode, whatever the categories is having the highest number of occurrence. So here we can see that the highest number of occurrence is secondary, right? So here 497 unknown record are there, so I will replace it with the secondary because it's having the highest number of occurrence. So how to replace it? Now what I will do here, I just want to check now the value count. So I'll just write here df education once again, the value count function dot value underscore counts. So on execution you can see that unknown will be removed from here. Here you can see that we are getting an error. Why? Because we have to put into the education column here, right? So I have to just write here education, and now I have to execute it. Yeah. So as I told you that here we have to do the changes in the education column. So that's why we have to write here df education. Now if I'm executing on this, df education dot value counts, you can see that unknown has been removed, and whatever the 497 values were there, it will be added into the secondary, right? Now after this, here you can see that I'm having secondary, tertiary, primary, right? So these are the categorical values. If I want to convert it into the numerical values, so how can I do it? I'll just write here df education, I'll just replace it. So I'll just write here dot replace, and inside this once again I will create a dictionary. I'll just write here primary. So let me replace the primary with 0, then I will write here secondary, then let me write tertiary as well, and I will replace it with 2. Let me execute this. Now if I'm writing you df.head, you can see that it's still not been changed because I have to write here df education, and inside this I have to assign whatever the data manipulation I'm doing here. So let me execute this now, and here you can see guys, this has been changes. But why this tertiary hasn't been changed? Cause here the spelling of this is tertiary, right? So just let me write here tertiary. Now if I'm executing it now, so make sure that there is no spelling error. Now after this, if you want to know the correlation, right? So for the correlation, we can also use here df dot core function. So here you can see that here, but by just writing here df dot core, we can see the correlation between the two columns, right? So if you see here the age correlation with balance, right? So here the balance is having the highest correlation here, right? 0.11. Now if you want to see this thing in a graph also, so I can just import here Seaborn as SNS, and I can just generate here heat map, and I will just write here a naught is equal to true. So if I'm executing it here, so on execution you can see that this is the correlation matrix also, where we can see, let me just write here C map is equal to cool warm. So this is the color, right? So here you can see that the most correlated is the new column with the previous one here, right? 0.51. So in this way you can see that we can analyze any data using pandas. Okay guys, let me give you a quick recap for this session. So first we have started by learning what is pandas. After that we have seen that what are the basic operations that are involved in the pandas. Then we have seen that how to create a data frame from a dictionary, and then we have also uploaded a data set. We have done the data analysis in that particular data set, and these are the hands on the pandas. So that's all I have for this session today, guys. I hope this session was informative and interesting. If you have any queries, please feel free to drop in the comment box below, and make sure you hit the thumbs up button as well. Until next time, thank you. Also, do not forget to stay tuned with the IntelliPad YouTube channel for technical tutorials.
If you want to make a career in data science, then IntelliPat has IIT Madras Advanced Data Science and AI Certification Program. This course is of very high quality and cost effective, as it is taught by IIT professors and industry experts.